From my last Descent comms video, we'll be looking at comms from number 69 up to 73. Like always, I will be referencing intel that I've discussed in previous videos, so if you haven't seen them yet, I have a playlist set up, and you can find this in the description.
New York BTSU is out of commission. Dolores was eliminated by the cleaners and Aaron Keener. Looks like Conley is working with him. We knew she could be potentially a problem when she defected to the cleaners. I know our efforts are focused on DC, but I really think we should take the Keener rogue threat seriously. I'd like permission to put together a team in Brooklyn to monitor the situation.
Viper calls in a status report on the rogues in Brooklyn to Natalia Sokolova. This comms is a follow-up to the events that played out on Coney Island. Dolores Jones was the Black Tusk commander, leading a unit on Coney Island. She was the one that Keener made a deal with, handing over Vitaly Tronenko after he was finished with him. Of course, this was a setup by Keener. Vivian Conley and the cleaners would storm the island, wiping out Dolores and her unit, while the division would rescue and extract Tronenko. Viper warns Natalia about the fact that Conley is working with Keener, which is funny because we now know that Viper is also working with him. Yet she is pushing to have a team assembled in Brooklyn to monitor the Keener threat more closely.
Hey Nat, thank you for approving the recon mission to Brooklyn. Things are pretty quiet here compared to the reports in Manhattan. Rikers have crossed the bridge, but cleaners have isolated to lower Manhattan. Seems like the Midtown division under Fei Lau have been very effective in pushing the Rikers further south and keeping the cleaners' numbers in check. Even with Conley's help, they don't have the numbers to expand their operation to Brooklyn. They also seem to be planning another attack with Keener after the events on Coney Island. We may need to recruit some local talent to support our mission. Alicia and Agent Lau have history, and there may be an opportunity there.
Following Natalia's approval of Viper bringing a team to Brooklyn, she provides a status update. Viper says it's fairly quiet out there for now, especially in comparison to Manhattan. The Rikers have made it across the bridge, but the cleaners seem to have stayed isolated to lower Manhattan. She also mentions that Conley may be planning another attack with Keener, and of course we know this is true. This was just before Keener would launch his Eclipse virus attack on City Hall. When Viper mentions Alicia Coswald and Fei Lau having some history, it starts to make some sense. Fei has already started working with Keener at this stage, so Viper is trying to find a way to get her slotted in the right location within the Black Tusk. I wonder how much Fei knew about what Keener was planning to do with City Hall. I can't imagine she'd be too on board with this.
Bridge. How's Mac?
Surviving, acting like a farmer and a foster mom to all of Long Island.
Well, she would be a great mother.
Not the one that got away, Keener.
You sure about that?
Have I ever lied to you?
Not that I know of, but you are an impeccable liar.
Takes one to know one.
And this is why we are friends.
I thought you only loved me for my money and access to Mac.
I love you because you keep me honest.
Oh God, thank you. I needed that. Mac is fine. You don't need to worry about her. Nat would never let anything happen to her special project.
Not too much to take on board with this one. Keener is just checking in with Viper around how Mackenzie Merritt is doing since the outbreak. This was obviously from before the attack on the Merritt estate, and I'll have a link to that story in the top right hand corner of the screen if you needed a refresher.
This is a bad idea.
Theo's request.
You cannot make his pregnant girlfriend the social director of the settlement.
He wants to keep her safe.
Then move her to Hoskins Farm. You can't keep her safe at Ground Zero.
It's not Ground Zero.
As far as Cal is concerned, anywhere you are is Ground Zero.
He should have thought about that before he sent his hunters after me and my crew.
Man, you used to be friends.
We used to agree on what the world should look like.
You want the same thing, power. You just disagree on who should have it.
Isn't that every war in history?
Sure, but it's also just another pointless war where everyone sacrifices themselves for some random asshole pulling the strings from the safety of their bunker.
I can't really leave the bunker if I'm supposed to be dead.
You really didn't think this part through, did you?
As soon as Faye gets access to Ellis, we can move on to stage 2, and I can come out of hiding.
Theo has requested that Maral McCarthy be appointed to lead the settlement in Brooklyn. She was someone that we recently heard about that Theo rescued and sent over to Brooklyn. They've since been seeing each other, and she's now pregnant. So it's confirmed that Keena has a settlement set up across the bridge, something that will likely soon be visiting. But how have the Black Tusk not been aware of this? Is this why Viper requested being sent over there, so that she can ensure this information doesn't get back to Natalia? Viper and Keena talk about how he and Kelvin used to be friends, but had a falling out. But not over how the world needs to change, but the way this could be achieved. I wonder when this fallout happened. We know that Keena first went rogue after being left in the dark zone. But was this before or after he had made up his mind on Kelvin? Viper acknowledges that he's right, but that he's also no better than Kelvin, orchestrating a war from within the safety of a bunker. But this was not long after Liberty Island, when we supposedly took him down, so he needed to stay hidden until Faye gets access to Alice. Was Faye always meant to kill Alice? And why did Keena have to wait until Faye had access to Alice before he came out from hiding?
Keener, is Sarah okay?
Yes?
You don't sound so sure.
Her husband died. Her daughter died. I can't really expect her to be okay.
Are you okay?
Honestly, no.
Fireman thing?
No.
It wasn't your fault.
If we were here, maybe we could have saved them.
But you weren't. And it worked. We got Faye. We got the Rogue Network online. We have Schaefer on side. Your plan is working, and none of that would have happened if you didn't leave.
I know. You can't change the past. You can only hope to atone for the sins and build a better tomorrow.
Please tell me you didn't find religion.
Oh, God, no. Of course not. Just, the Morettis, they were the first people I truly saved. And I let them down. And Sarah, she just reminds me so much of Mac and my first wife. And my second wife.
You definitely have a type.
It's just seeing their family. It was like they were the family that I could have had. Yeah, that little girl, she's so smart and beautiful, and the world is a little bit darker without her in it. Yeah, Sarah, she says she's fine, but parents aren't supposed to outlive their children, and none of us know how to help her. None of us have kids. Yeah, not yet, at least. So it's just hollow platitudes and distractions with work.
For reference, this conversation is around a situation Keena was in with some civilians. Sarah, Mark, and their daughter Gracie were making their way to a new place to live while he waited to hear from his chief about being relocated back into Brooklyn. Upon arrival, they noticed that the place they'd been sent to had been attacked. All firefighters and their families had been killed. While Mark was checking for survivors, the ones responsible for the attack approached them. Fortunately, Keena happened to be close by and would assist in dispatching the hostiles and then helping the family across the river into Brooklyn. However, as time went on, something would happen to the Moretti family, resulting in Mark and Grace's death. Perhaps the settlement wasn't so safe after all. While Keena and his rogues were out attacking City Hall, recruiting Faye and Schaefer, the compound seems to have been attacked. This piece of intel shows a more vulnerable side to Keena. The man who was always 2 steps ahead is beginning to look like he's showing some regrets for some of his actions. Regardless of what some of the projects say, I can't seem to get more than 1 descent comm per week, so I'm still 4 or so behind. I'm up to number 75 right now, so I'll just keep plugging away as I get them. I'm probably a little overdue when it comes to talking about this current season, but the new format these are being released has muddled up the way I used to make these videos, so I'm trying to figure out how I'll piece these together now. Comms now drop more often, but they don't feel as structured, at least not at this point. But I'll figure something out this week. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Extremis Malus, Extrema Remedia.